Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. This video deals with the topic the role of deception in Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. Before moving on to the topic, let us see about the source of this play. The immediate source of this play is Matteo Bandolo of Mantua's novella. It is a collection of French tales by Francois de Belforest. However, the witty wooing of Benedict and Beatrice of this play seem to be original. One version of Claudio and Hero plot is found in Edmund Spenser's The Faerie Queene in Book 2, Canto 4. Much Ado About Nothing is a comedy which was believed to have written between 1598 and 1599. It was included in the first folio edition in 1623. The play was set in Messina, Italy during the 16th century. Now let us have a look at the dramatis personae of this play. Don Pedro is the Prince of Aragon. Don John is his bastard brother. Then we have Claudio, a young lord of Florence. Benedict, a young lord of Padua. Leonetto is the governor of Messina. Antonio is his brother. Hero is the daughter of Leonetto and Beatrice is the daughter of Antonio. And Leonetto and Antonio are brothers. Then there are some minor characters like Margaret, Ursula, and also we have messengers, watch and attendants in this play. The setting of this play is Messina. Now we shall see about the themes of this play. We find several themes in this play such as appearance and reality, the ideal of social grace, the importance of honor, deception, love and masquerade, courtship, wit and warfare, conflict and resolution, etc. Now let us see what is meant by deception. Deception means making somebody believe or being made to believe something that is not true. Deception is essential to Shakespeare's play. In most of his plays, we find the theme of deception used by Shakespeare. It governs the relationships between character and drives the plots. Deception can both be intended and unintended. We find several phases of deception in Shakespeare's plays. It can either be accidental or it could take the form of well-planned tactics in the hands of evil characters. It may lead to happy or unhappy ending with seriousness and mockery. Deception serves as a means to an end in this play. Beatrice and Benedict are fooled into thinking that each loves the other. They actually fall in love as a result of this deception. Deceit is not inherently evil, but as a means to good or bad ends. Shakespeare sets up a fairy tale of contrast between two half-brothers, Don Pedro and Don John. Don Pedro is described as the Prince of Aragon and he is a reliable face of authority in Messina. Don John and his friends are described duplicitous, or they are portrayed as duplicitous. Deception, and throughout this play we find deception and self-deception. Also throughout Messina we find this verbal and visual confusion taking place out of deception. From Don Pedro's benevolent schemes to bring two pairs of lovers together. The two pairs of lovers are Claudio, Hero, then Benedict and Beatrice. To Don John's vindictive plots to pull them apart, we find the role of deception played by Don Pedro as well as Don John. When the Leonettos are informed of the return of the soldiers from war, Beatrice asks, "Is Signor Montento returned from the war?" This is indicative of a longing for his companionship and well-being. So also her enquiry, Beatrice's enquiry for Benedict shows her hidden love for him. Don Pedro suggests the idea of disguise as soon as he learns of Claudio's romantic interest with Hero. So Don Pedro offers to play Claudio's part and woos Hero on his behalf at the masked ball. We find Don John describing himself as a plain dealing villain, and he says, I cannot hide what I am. This shows the villainy of Don John, sorry. Beatrice insults Benedict, pretending not to know him. She told me, not thinking I had been myself, that I was the princess jester. Here the audience suspect what is said by her, that she has said it precisely. Benedict thinks that it is possible to know and not know a person in Messina. So concealed in Visa, Don Pedro speaks of love to Hero. Here we find Don Pedro proposing to Hero on Claudio's behalf. And Hero accepts him in Claudio's name. As she was instructed by her father, she accepts him in Claudio's name. Don John has malicious claim. And he tells Claudio that Don Pedro has wooed Hero for himself. On hearing this, Claudio says, friendship is constant in all other things, save in the office and affairs of love. Like the masked ball, Messina's gardens set stage for dissembling. The friends conspire to bring Beatrice and Benedict into a mountain of affection. Don Pedro says, Claudio, the time shall not go dully by us. I will in the interim undertake one of Hercules' labors, which is to bring Signor Benedict and Lady Beatrice into a mountain of affection, the one with the other. Benedict mistakes his friend's deceptions for truth. However, Benedict convinces that Beatrice loves him and sees double meaning in her insults. Beatrice too hides in the pleased bower to eavesdrop on Hero and Ursula. The puns and skirmish of wit between Beatrice and Benedict seem more genuine. In this play, we find Balthazar singing, especially we note a line from the song, there is not a note of mine that is worth the noting. Don Pedro takes up the word play, notes, forsooth, and nothing. Don John plans to break the marriage between Claudio and Hero. He says, I am sick in displeasure to him, and whatsoever comes athwart his affection ranges evenly with mine. How canst thou cross this marriage? And Borachio comes up with a suggestion to break the marriage. Not honestly, my lord, but so covertly that no dishonesty shall appear in me. Don John directs the performance. Borachio's plan to cross Hero and Claudio's marriage. It stages a scene. Here Don John, with the help of Borachio, stages a scene at Hero's chamber. That when somebody looks out through the window, okay, when somebody looks out, they think that it is Margaret who is doing Borachio. Actually, Margaret was wearing Hero's dress and she was addressing Borachio as Claudio. And Claudio is made to believe the deception. And he denounces Claudio the next day, on the day of their marriage. Hero is denounced as a rotten orange at her wedding ceremony. Don Pedro too is deceived by his illegal brother, that is Don John. The prince joins in slandering Hero, saying, myself, my brother, and this grieved count did hear her last night. And thus Don Pedro becomes a victim of his brother's deception. Through careful noting, the friar realizes Hero's innocence. The friar who has come to conduct the marriage, he realizes Hero's innocence. Here we find the friar too using deception, and he uses deception for a good end. and he wants Leonetto, that is the father of Hero, to proclaim that Hero is dead. And the friar hopes to prompt Claudio to change slander for remorse. Initially, Don Pedro insisted that Hero was charged with nothing, but what was true and very full of proof. The tragedy is deflected by the knave watch. Here, the watch plays an important role in observation and noting. Hero's innocence is brought out by this watch. Here he uncovers Borracho's, so the hero's innocence. Okay, her protagonist, the heroine of this play. Her innocence is uncovered by Borracho's confession. I have deceived even your very eyes. What your wisdoms could not discover, these shallow fools have brought to light. The friar's plan has become successful, and damage is done more on Claudio. Okay, here Claudio actually regrets for what he has said, for slandering Hero's nature. So Claudio's claim, however, we cannot accept Claudio's claim that he sinned only in mistaking. So here comes the final deception of the play. Leonetto offers Claudio a second chance at marriage. And he says, my brother hath a daughter, almost the copy of my child that is dead. Hero is instructed to come hither masked. So heroes come there to come in mask. She is asked to come there in wearing a mask. Claudio first chose Hero by her looks. In mine eye, she is the sweetest lady that ever I looked on. He misjudged her as a common stale by falling a prey to Don John's deception. As a punishment, he has to accept this new bride without seeing her face. So now Hero is accepted as someone else. So here here we find marriage as something uncomfortable, which is similar to the earlier masked ball. Here in the masked ball, we find Hero who had already agreed to a proposal from a man in disguise. So coming to the title reveals the double meaning at the heart of the play. The plot is a fuss about nothing, a series of deceptions which is untrue. So here it can also mean, the title can also mean nothing as well as noting. So Balthazar also sings a song where one of the lines goes thus, men were deceivers ever. So here in this play we find deception which is done for good end as well as for evil end. So words, appearances in theatre, in the real world are open to manipulation. So now let us analyze the motives of the deceptors. Shakespeare justifies the role of deception through Don John and Don Pedro's actions. A deception can be benign or malicious by their ideal outcomes. Don John acts as a catalyst and an instigator for trouble. His only happiness is to destroy the love and happiness between Claudio and Hero. Here Don John is portrayed as a man who has played the wrong deception, and he has used deception with a bad intention. The metaphor medicine of my soul shows that his happiness lies in others' suffering. Now let us know the distinction between right deception and wrong deception. Don Pedro thinks that everyone deserves to be happy. So he uses deception in a benign way to bring together Beatrice and Benedict. And he thought that they will be perfect match. So in this play, we find the right deception leading to marriage and a happy ending. So the end of deceit and wrong deception breeds conflict and distrust. So proper deception was done by Don Pedro by bringing together Benedict and Beatrice. Benedict and Beatrice are self-deceptive, and it was the reason for the success of Don Pedro and his friends. So the wrong deception was done by Don John, and Claudio was easily deceived because he was suspicious and faithless by nature. Thank you.